What's the context? What's the university course?
It's illustration. We're doing a fiction and fact project, and we're doing the fact bit. So I need like stories that actually kind of happen to people, kind of thing.
Oh, I see. That's what I was going to tell you. Sort of with Berkeley.
We got a call about this at 2 o'clock. Dad, we're at Norwich Station. Can you come and pick us up? Well, there was about 3 of them, all like kickbacks. And he got the car out. He said, I don't really know. It's really lovely. Unfortunately, there wasn't all night garage towards the station. But let him forget that. He said, 2 o'clock in the morning. That's 2 o'clock. Pick you up.
My brother left home. We didn't have a phone until he left home.
No,
The phone went and it was my brother. If he wanted Dad, it was bike broken down. If he wanted Mum, it was how do I cook it? And when he asked me about this, no means beef's cooked. So Mum says it just looks right.
well, because my daughter, when she first left home, she said to me, about making gravy. She said, how much do you put in? So I said, well, I don't know, about that much. I said, you just know. I said, I can't tell if it's a teaspoon. I said, because you guess. I said, and if you guess and it's too thick, you add more liquid. I said, it's something you get to know.
Thanks just finding that out.
Just looking up the music.
No, Alison was never the musical one.
Oh, did you never play this?
No. Jumped her. Jump past her. Alex is the musical one. Well, it's not going to carry on with musical.
I had a memory that your shop worked.
She used to come and bang a tambourine just so that she was with me. If it was just me that held around.
When's it got to be in by?
Ask me like that, and mine goes blank. Yes. It goes blank a lot anyway.
Well, just turn it off a minute. Last night, people held up on the A47 with floods. Would you believe it? They've been up in Scotland and up in the Lake District, and now they've hit Norfolk. People took an hour and 40 minutes to get home from Norwich. Who could believe it, in the middle of Norfolk, which is as flat as any county in this country, and there we are with floods because the water is pouring down off the fields. However, by this morning, they were all pumped away and all was well. Is that all right? I didn't know what to say.
Do you have a name? I don't really have any recollection of this, but when I was 10 months old, there was an air raid. It was in 1942. And we lived quite close to a park in Norwich, which had an air raid shelter. My mother took me across to the shelter, wrapped up in a blanket, and was told that the shelter was full, and she was turned away. At that moment, the bomber came over, dropped the bomb directly onto the shelter, and everybody in the shelter was killed. So I had a very lucky escape.
One of the most significant events in the life of a naval chaplain is crossing the line. That's the first time you cross the equator in a ship, and it's a really splendid and very funny and lovely experience. Well, it would be if you weren't the chaplain and everybody wants to make the most fun out of you as possible. So the night before you cross the equator, everybody gathers together and you go before the court of King Neptune. And when you've gone across the court of King Neptune, you have to plead guilty or not to having crossed the equator. Although I'd crossed the equator before, a chaplain is always guilty. On the day of the occasion, you are ceremoniously baptised on the flight deck of the ship when they put a paddling pool out and you're absolutely covered in water. And then you belong not only to the Christian Church as a fully baptised member, but to the court of King Neptune, and thereafter you are his subject.
Some I could tell you, but boys used to go out poaching. You know what poaching is? Getting pheasants off farmers' land. Well, I was out one night doing a bit of poaching, and I saw a light come towards him, you see, and that was old farmer. He was having a look around to see what was going on. They ran into his barn, and they hid up. There was some sacks in the corner, so they all jumped in the sack. And when he come in, shone a torch on one, he kicked into it, and the chap inside said, meow. He thought, well, that's one of my old cats got in there. He went and kicked the next one, and the bloke what was hid up in there, he said, woof woof. So he thought, oh, my old dog had got in there. When he went and kicked the third sack, a voice said, taters.
Yes, I will tell you. Right, well, we had a very, very good visit to Dereham Windmill. We had 5 grandchildren, and we took them all to Dereham Windmill on the Sunday before Christmas, and I have to say it was absolutely brilliant. They all went to see Santa, there was artificial snow, and there was a real Christmas atmosphere. So I do want to pass on all my praise and thanks to Dereham Windmill and encourage anybody else who would like to go there. The children absolutely loved it. The Santa was very realistic, and the best thing about the Santa was he spent a lot of time talking to each individual child. So it was a very, very good experience. The other thing that I would strongly recommend was the fun session at the pool, because all my grandchildren loved it. And one of my granddaughters said it was the best thing about her whole Christmas. So well done, Dereham.
You, don't you? Nice little mother. You know what a mother is, don't you? Young lady. Nice girl. That's a Norfolk word for girl, that is. But, yeah, I was born in Dereham here, of course, and that's a long while ago. I can't tell you how old I am, but I'm getting on, as they say, getting up in the tooth a bit. So I did for some time, well, I still am a member of the Friends of Norfolk Dialect, where we discuss all these old words. And have you been speaking to anybody else about Norfolk dialect and all the different words they use?
Not yet.
Do you know what a tit and a torter is? No. Think of it, going up and down like that. Kids sit on it. What is it? Seesaw. Yeah, you see you're cottoning on right quick there. There's all different sort of... My grandmother, she always talked that when we used to go and see her on a Sunday, when we used to go into the house, again the bottom of her door, she had you would call it a threshold. She used to call it a trashel. Some people call it a troshel, but she used to say, don't trip over the thrashel when you come in. And if you think of it, thrashel sounds a bit like threshold. But yeah, this Norfolk dialect is something that this association that we got are trying to keep alive so that people can, you know, remember what the words that your grandparents and your parents used. But every year that goes by, Norfolk people who marry somebody from a different area, when they have children, obviously the children don't know whether they're going to speak Norfolk or Welsh, and you get a mixture, and that's where dialect gets watered down, and accents. There's a difference between accents and dialect. Dialect are the words that we use in place of another word, if you know what I mean, whereas accent is the sound that your voice obviously makes when you speak. Like Birmingham accent is completely different to a Norfolk accent. In Norfolk, if you travel from Great Yarmouth right through to King's Lynn, you'll probably find about 4 different accents. My wife came from Norwich, and she spoke like a proper Norwicher when she came over here. But she's losing that now, but every time she goes, when she goes to visit her mother, which was some time ago because her mum has been dead a long time, but when she was going to visit her mother, I could tell you when she came home that she'd been to visit her mother because she started talking in a what you call a Norwich accent. And they had a very harsh, they used to refer to stockings as starkins, and they used to say she got her hat on her head, whereas rural Norfolk would say she got her hat on her head. So Norwich and Norfolk accents are quite different actually. And if you've got a Great Yarmouth, that you'll find that's different as well. But all these different words that get sorted out from years and years ago. My dad and mum used to use a lot of them, but my children probably wouldn't know what they are now, you know. But it's sad, really, because every area in the country should have their own particular. If you go to what they call a black country, which is up around Stoke and around that way, I probably wouldn't understand what they're talking about up there. Same as the Geordie, you know, the Geordie accent is difficult to understand. But no, we're trying to get young people interested in it, not necessarily to speak it, but to be aware that there is such a thing as a Norfolk dialect and a Norfolk accent. My eldest granddaughter, she probably doesn't know a word of Norfolk dialect, although she was born in Scarland, just down the road, as we say from here. We talk about roods, we talk about roofs. If you know what roofs are, always help your head, not roof, but roof. I have walked into a bar on more than one occasion and said good evening to somebody, and by using those two words, they'd turn around and say to me, which part of Norfolk are you from? They recognised that I've got a Norfolk accent. So, are you doing this for some project? Yeah?